When we consume food, each and every one of us in some capacity knows that we ought to eat healthy food. Check the carbs, see what kind of proteins our food is comprised of. Avoid the sugars, trans fats are bad, and so forth. We also know we shouldn't have heavy meals before bedtime, and fried food is bad for us. Too much fat requires us to exercise and burn calories if we want to avoid diseases such as diabetes and heart diseases. We know some foods are easier to break down and digest, whereas others take more effort from our digestive system. When we consume unhealthy food, our body has to try harder to digest it, and not only that, most of unhealthy food does not provide us any nutrients to positively carry out our basic functions. It is therefore of paramount importance to know what is it that we consume, when do we consume it, how much do we consume it, and how often. Because whatever we subject our digestive systems to is going to have consequences. When we consume content, why don't each and every one of us know that we ought to consume healthy content? Check the language it uses, see what kind of message the content encompasses, avoid immoral and useless entertainment, subliminal manipulation is bad, and so forth. Why are we not as conscious and careful about consuming content as we are when we consume food? If unhealthy food puts our bodies at risk, then we should also be aware that unhealthy content puts our minds and mental well-being at stake. Why don't we measure and regulate our daily intake of digital content? Every YouTube video we watch, every Netflix show we binge, every song we listen to, every image we see, every sound we hear, every line we read, every conversation we have has consequences. Just the way unhealthy food still requires processing, unnecessary oral and visual information also requires cognitive resources. Constant cognitive load tires us more than we ought to get tired, more than we can afford to get tired. But what's even more alarming is the rate at which it is causing a prevalence of the subpar to be the new accepted standard. Mindless entertainment is slowly becoming the only form of entertainment. Top facts, celebrity gossip, reality shows, superhero trivia, life of polar bears, how penguins breed. We are subjected to an estimate of 30 to 70 GB of information every day based on different studies. We don't think of this consumption the same way we pay attention to our calorie intake. The consequences of content overconsumption are perhaps far-reaching than overeating. 165 million hours are watched daily on Netflix. 100 million hours of video are viewed every day on Facebook. A staggering 1 billion hours of YouTube videos are consumed by humans every day. Our existence in this realm is no more than a node in a machine learning algorithm. We are a tiny, albeit a valuable droplet in the sea of big data. Our clicks are recorded and our emotions are preyed upon, all to make decisions on which genre to invest in, which new show to produce. There's a tiny percentage in the catalog of mainstream entertainment, yes, which caters for informed audiences, but that's down to what people are interested in. Going back to our food analogy, a dessert once in a while is fine. Cheat days exist, and this applies to content as well. However, it must be understood that the digestive system takes time to digest what we eat. And as mentioned earlier, depending upon the quality of the food as well as factors such as metabolism, stress level, and overall health, this time may vary from individual to individual. However, the point is, for food to be broken down and utilized in the right way, a process takes place. And if we keep eating without giving our digestive system ample time, we're quickly going to wreck the system and get sick. So not only the food we are eating becomes useless, but actually harmful. One YouTube video after the other, one Netflix episode after the other, swiping, clicking, skipping that intro, waiting for the ad to end, letting that binge take control of us. What happens in the process is that no matter if the content itself is not bad per se, we get nothing out of it because we're not giving our brain enough time to break down what we are watching and what we extract out of it. Everything is subliminal, subconscious, which, along with plastic, never goes away. But why then this binge formula works and works every day without fail? Why and how do we continue to do this without ever realizing whether there is in fact anything good we are getting out of all of this content other than some dopamine spike? Mindless. It all must be mindless. Just smart enough to keep us hooked and making us believe we are fairly intelligent, but not quite enough to make us take a moment to reflect before we watch the next episode. No, that would break us out of the loop. Or perhaps we would realize it's bedtime and we should probably sleep because we need sleep. But the next episode is always going to be the best episode ever, and if we don't watch it tonight, right now, it's just not going to be the same tomorrow. Speaking of sleep, Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, had no qualms about openly admitting that they aren't competing with other channels and platforms, but sleep itself. Also funny that he probably thrives on making everyone hastily complete a new season of a Netflix show instead of reading a book or something. Anyway, so how does it work and continue to work? Why do we continue to watch mindless shows? Perhaps the answer lies in the fact that modern life trains the human brain in such a way that no mind remains by the time we switch that TV on or hit the play button on Netflix or lazily browse through whatever YouTube throws at us. And the fact that whatever it is that we start watching is going to be the only type of content we shall be watching. Ever wondered why, when we start watching a couple of car videos on YouTube, our YouTube suddenly turns into a freaking car garage? Encouraging people to be involved in unidimensional or at least less dimensional topics works out better for them, because then it is easier to target us with ads because we start to fit into well-defined personas. We have a desire to be like or act like the characters we follow. We form one-sided emotional relationships with them. We amplify the similarities and begin to relate with characters and situations. We like to escape from the grind. We like to be part of conversations and be in the same club as others who follow the same shows or read the same books. We want to be relevant. So the cycle goes as we come home dead tired and cannot watch any useful content anymore, so we watch reality shows, people roasting other people, cat videos, which are nice to be honest, dramas and talent hunts. If we happen to be one of those who let Netflix shows we watch reflects our intellect type of people, we instead watch some pseudo-intelligent, mind-bending, time-travel related shows which keep us on the edge by keeping us entangled in non-linear plots, funny cuss words, vampires, and underground gangster tales. If we are a desi, then only creative cuss words will do just fine. The show, which is known as Modern Life, which engages us beyond anything the human race has ever known, plays a crucial part in the clockwork of what makes mindless entertainment tick. Too tired for something profound? Must escape the mechanistic life. Watch something, anything, which does not require a developed brain of a homo-sapien. Anything but profound. Even better if we are kept in a delusion that what we consume is in fact very meaningful. The medium of video is very interesting as a mode of entertainment. Although overall 90% of all the information processed by the brain is visual, images are processed 60,000 times faster than text. It only takes 13 milliseconds for the brain to process an image, and 80% of people are likely to remember what they see as compared to only 10% of what they hear and 20% of what they read. Hardly 30% of the words on a page are actually read by most people. According to a study conducted in a university in Japan, it was found that children who read more developed better linguistic and verbal reasoning skills compared to children who watch TV all day. It is easier to understand why then children of our age are easier to rile up and cannot seem to be reasoned with. It is quite evident at this point that visual mode of entertainment is designed to be passive. We sit back and see things unfold before our eyes without much effort. We are less likely to pause a show and reflect. Books, on the other hand, are an active form of entertainment as well as learning. They require a quiet, calm environment, energy and focus to go through the text and comprehend it as well as read between the lines. Challenge our imagination, fill in the gaps, form a world out of textual descriptions. Modern life discourages that. The important point here is to acknowledge that life has always been hard. The distractions have always been there in relative terms. So how is it that simpler times produced more polymaths than the current age of opportunities, the era of availability, the best of times? We are slowly being nudged towards mediocrity, and we're not resisting. We do not value our time as much as it necessitates. We live in a perpetual sense of underachievement, and yet life coaches have never been in business in numbers as they are now. We chill more than we have ever chilled, and yet the human condition has never been as stressful and miserable in whole of human history. We are distended with information, but common sense is hard to come by. We are laden with facts, but imagination is a rare thing. The difference between a USB drive containing videos and a human being inflated with daily intake of content is shrinking. Both are essentially only a medium to copy content for a while until it is replaced with new content with no advantage whatsoever. Not all entertainment has to be mindless. Not all entertainment requires subscriptions. Whatever happened to listening to the rain as a self-contained activity? Why has the blue sky only become a backdrop to our stressful lives? We were all born with incredible imagination. Why are colors around us muted while our mobile screens are vivid HDs? Why don't we draw smileys on foggy window panes anymore? Why don't we applaud the song of the bird? Why don't we stop and look at the sunset once in a while? Why don't we let the wind talk to us? Why don't we just sit and do nothing at all? Stare inwards. Let solitude open a window inside of us. And if all we see is darkness, cobwebs, and ravens fly out of it, we have failed ourselves. Keep the window open and wait for the glow. It will appear. But for that, you might have to miss the next season of your favorite show.